In this series of short videos, we're going to look at how we can use Gateway 2nd edition for the online classroom. In this short video, we will talk about how you can adapt your units to provide engaging lessons online, while still covering the key objectives of your curriculum. The first thing to figure out as a teacher is what your remote teaching context is like. This is important if we want to plan lessons that are achievable in our context. Think about how many hours a week you've got with your learners, what technology you've got access to, and what kind of devices do your learners have available at home to access the remote classroom. We need to choose our approach based on what we know about our learners and our teaching context. Usually that means a combination of synchronous and asynchronous teaching is ideal. And as you might know, we achieve considerably less in our online lessons than in the live lessons, so we need to plan accordingly. Don't try to do it all. Less is truly more. What really matters when planning your online lessons is that you start planning your session with the end goal in mind. What do my learners need to achieve by the end of the course according to the curriculum or the exam they are preparing for? The answer to this question will enable you to be selective when looking at a unit and will help you choose activities that align with your overall learning objectives. Let's have a look at this vocabulary lesson. In most cases, vocabulary and grammar lessons can be taught online in a very similar way to how you would teach these in the face-to-face classroom, but some of the activities could be done by students at home. Students could prepare for the lesson by checking, for example, the meaning of words. They could find word families or even check the word stress in, for example, the Macmillan dictionary online. In class, you can then show the answers to self-check and check students' understanding of the meaning of these words, using concept-checking questions and focusing on pronunciation work as needed. You could conduct a quick choral drill with all mics off before individually nominating learners to unmute themselves and say some of the words. In the online live lesson, you want to provide opportunities for students to talk about the topic and to use the language actively and more freely in pair or group work, for example, in the breakout rooms. Make sure you give your students some time to think about their answers before you put them into the breakout rooms. Once they're done, ask them to report back to the whole group about what they found out, what they had in common, or any ideas they want to share before conducting your whole class feedback. A similar approach can be followed for grammar lessons. You can get learners to prepare for the lesson by asking them to try and discover the grammar rules themselves. In the live lesson, you can then focus on checking the answers and further establishing or checking the meaning, form, and pronunciation as needed. You could then do one of the controlled written practice exercises in class, whereas others could be set for homework. Then move on to some of the less controlled oral practice in class. On this page, you could ask learners to prepare for the free oral practice for the next lesson by researching a country of their own interest. So in the grammar lessons, focus on tasks where learners need to interact and communicate with each other and use the new language orally. When teaching reading online, we use the same stages as in a face-to-face lesson: pre-reading, while reading, and post-reading. But again, consider whether learners can do particular reading tasks at home in preparation for the online class, so you can focus more on communication. Most pre-reading speaking tasks in the online classroom are done to activate prior knowledge. These can easily be done online in the breakout rooms. Then check the task type and the length of the text to decide if the reading is best done in, before, or after your online lesson. For skimming and scanning tasks, give your learners a set time to work on their own during the online live session, with the camera off if they like, and then quickly peer check the answers, either via the chat box or in the breakout rooms. However, if the task involves finding the answers through synonyms, maybe allow them to spend a little bit more time for peer checking. Detailed reading is best done before or after skimming and scanning sessions. Then in the online lesson, you can send your learners to breakout rooms to compare their answers and justify these. Bring your students back to the main room, elicit their answers and justification, and jump in if they need your help here. The follow-up speaking task could then be done in the live online session. The live task in this example could be prepared at home, and in the next online session it can be shared. Or you could ask your students to record their presentation and upload it for others to listen to and comment on. The approach to teaching listening online is very similar to teaching reading. Listening is stage-like reading, so check if your students can complete or prepare some of the pre-listening tasks before class. In class, in the breakout rooms, you can do the initial speaking tasks before the listening. Then check that students can hear the audio and video files. Most listenings can be done online with the whole class, using a whiteboard, your chat box, or screen sharing features. Allow your learners to peer check their answers in the breakout room after listening, or ask them to write answers in the private chat box for you to see, so you can focus on what matters the most in whole class feedback. The follow-up speaking task can be conducted again in pairs or groups in the breakout room. If you have breakout rooms available, your speaking lessons online will be very similar to your face-to-face speaking lessons. Group your learners into the breakout room for speaking, pop in to monitor and gather some ideas for feedback. When your learners return, ask them to report on their ideas and what they talked about before conducting feedback. Most important is that before you send them off to the breakout room, your students understand exactly what it is they need to do. So set clear instructions, model the task, and check they understand the instructions before sending them off. You might want to consider writing your task on a slide or in the chat box as well. And don't forget to give them some thinking time. Thinking time can be before the speaking lesson or during the speaking lesson. It enables them to speak more fluently in the breakout rooms. Of course, learners can also work on their speaking skills offline. You can set them this task, for example, alone or in pairs, to record a dialogue and upload it on the LMS, Padlet, or maybe Flipgrid, or they can simply email it to you. This will help you prepare for more effective feedback and provides an opportunity for some individual assessment. In writing lessons, think about doing the pre-writing task in your online lesson. Students might be talking about the topic in a personalized way in the breakout rooms. The model text might require a quick reading task, like skimming or scanning. Before using the breakout rooms for your groups, to analyze the model text for the layout and useful language. Then, highlight the useful language and structure in the main room, before students together brainstorm their ideas and structure in the breakout rooms. You may wish to set the actual writing task for offline work or set a collaborative writing task. For example, use a shared Google document where each student is able to write at the same time on the same document outside the online classroom.